Shalom. Giving all praises to Yahawashi, and double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. May Yahawashi's peace be with you, elect, because they hold this world and what it's got to offer. All right. I'm your brother Yahawah from Great Millstone, Orlando, and just Lord willing, again, man, this world doesn't have nothing to offer us. So with that being said, hey, we're just sitting back and waiting on the good master to come, to return. As I was inspired watching the apostles and the bishops live stream just earlier today from yesterday's camp. And one of the things that they were going into, they touched on just briefly about, the whole year 2000 thing. Basically, a lot of people, they put that on the apostles when, all the camps at that time, going back to the One West School, were teaching that the war was going to end in 2000, but they put all that on Apostle Tahar, for one, and secondly, because they try to say that the apostles are false prophets. So, on top of that, according to the reports of the apostles and the bishops, that was never a prophecy, but more so a doctrine that was taught. It wasn't a prophecy. So, you got to come better than that, to the scoffers out there. But anyways, Apostle Gabar is making a point as far as the only thing being guilty of was waiting on the return of the Lord. As Apostle Gabar specifically touches on that from time to time, which, Thawadiya Bashimal Shah, because that's one of the things that I, when you pray and you just wait, patience, man, that's one of the biggest enemies that we deal with is patience. Well, I can't even say enemy, but that's just one of the biggest things. We deal with in this truth, man. Is just being patient. Because when I first started watching the apostles and things of that nature, just goes to show you that it's all the spirit. Because I definitely wanted the insight. Because of course I wasn't back there. I didn't know. But like I said, you see all these people, but they're slandering the apostles and bishops about being false prophets, the year 2000, and this and that. And honestly, I wanted answers. I wanted to know what that whole thing, that whole thing is about. But again, through prayer, fasting, and things of that nature. And like I said, the Lord, Apostle Gabar goes into it from time to time. So again, as the Apostle Gabar was making a point, the only thing they're guilty of was this here in Luke 17 and 20. Or Luke 17 and 22. And he said unto the disciples, the days will come when ye shall desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and ye shall not see it. So again, Apostle Gabar was making this point. The only thing they were guilty of was this right here. Looking forward to the second coming of Yahawashi. You see, but again, the apostles that were making this point, man, just as far as and I can attest, and anyone that has animals, especially a dog, which is very spiritual, because dogs are all faithful, man. And I'll just a little, folly, man, because one of the things that they say in the world, especially when it comes to a so-called woman, a female, right? Jake heard that shit growing up. Men are dogs, right? Well, dogs are very faithful, man. Very loyal. And that's how we got to be to Yahawashi Shai, And again, animals in general, they're very spiritual. Dogs, man, if they're around you long enough, it's like you become in tune. You and that animal, that creature, you become in tune. You get up to walk around the house. The dog, it knows when to get out your way. You're not tripping all over the dog. It knows when to get out your way and whatnot. So it's like y'all become in tune. And dogs are very spiritual. Like the apostles were saying. How, hey man, a dog, it can sense you from some miles away, man. It knows when you're coming. It knows when the master's coming, and it'll sit right there in front of the door. It knows when the master's coming home, And sure enough, when the master comes through, hey, the dog's all excited. Hey, you can leave the house just to throw out the trash, man. No more than 2 minutes. And come back inside, and the dog acts like you've been gone for a whole week or whatever. The dog acts like you've been on vacation or something. All excited, jumping around, and So just again, making a point, man. And that's how we got to be when Yahawashi comes, man. Waiting patiently and faithfully for Yahawashi's return. We got to be like dogs for Yahawashi. I did a video on that some years ago. We got to be like dogs for Yahawashi, man. Faithful in his return. Faithfully and patiently waiting for his return. You see? So Proverbs 27:18. Whoso keepeth the fig tree shall eat the fruit thereof. So he that waiteth on his master shall be honored. So you see? And like the Lord said, who's going to be found faithful when the Lord returns? Only the elect? Because the times that we're coming into, man, hey, and we're already seeing it now. Jake is jumping ship. All right. Everyone's faith is going to be put on trial. So, again, it's a matter of enduring it to the end. Like I said, being found faithfully and patiently waiting until the end, until Yahawashi comes, man. That's only going to be a small select few. So I believe the apostle was quoting this here in Luke 12. Luke 12:35, let your loins be girded about and your lights burning. Like the, let me read on verse 36. And ye yourselves like unto men that wait for their Lord when he will return from the wedding, that when he cometh and knocketh, they may open unto him immediately. So you see, this is why brothers are just, and we touched on this Friday as well, Friday's camp, because it's just like, man, because you had the one, actually this was Saturday, this was yesterday, or Saturday's camp. Bakari mentioned that some Edomite mentioned, why are we so miserable? Well, because you devils are still in power. But verse 37, blessed are those servants whom the Lord, when he cometh, shall find watching. Verily I say unto you, that he shall gird himself and make them to sit down to meat, and will come forth and serve them. And if he shall come in the second watch, or come in the third watch, and find them so, blessed are those servants. So you see, man, hey, that's why it's important to stay on our watch. Staying on our watch, man. Because I was making a point. I was going to make the point, being that we're so focused, we're so locked in. It's hard to come back to this. Basically, it's hard to plug back into the matrix, because we're still here. We still gotta handle our business and our responsibilities and whatnot. But hey, in the spirit, man, we're gone. In the spirit, man, we are already out of here. We are out of here. And off camera, man, we've been talking about it for some time now, amongst ourselves, man. Just, hey, even when it comes to the whole Isaiah 4:1, because because the Lord is definitely already, setting it up for brothers as it is. The Lord is already setting Isaiah 4:1 up for brothers, and brothers are just really not looking forward to it. I said this yesterday, well, Saturday. I don't know when this will be uploaded, but I mentioned this to some brothers on Saturday, man. When you look at it for what it is, dealing with Isaiah 4:1, when you look at it for what it is, man, that spiritual maturity. When you look at it for what it is, Isaiah 4:1 is just a prophecy that has to play out according to how the Lord's going to play it out, man. And that's what it is. It's prophecy, and it has to play out the way that the Lord said it was going to play out. So once you look at it for what it is what it is. Once you look at it for what it is what it is. But making the point, brothers don't really look forward to it. Because the brothers are so locked in. Brothers are locked in. So, like that dog, man. Faithfully and patiently waiting for the master to return. And it's going to be again, Lord willing for us, it's going to be to our glory. Matter of fact, 2 Timothy 4:8. Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day, and not to me only, but unto all them also that love his appearing. So you see, because the world is betting against Yahawashi's return. The world doesn't want Yahawashi to return, but we do. The hopeful elect, we are yearning for it. We're yearning for it, man. We're eager. Brothers, anxiety, has been high. But, we just feel it in the spirit. We feel the presence of Yahweh. We feel the presence of Yahawashi, man. We feel his presence. So, again, to our glory, and to the world's shame. When we see Yahawashi, oh my goodness. When that MOTB gets mandated, oh my goodness. We see America and Iran going back and forth. That's exciting news. I just saw today, man, damn gas went back up to $4. Yeah, that shit hurts, but it's like, well, initially you're like, damn, but through the spirit's like, all right, well, come on with it already, Let that shit get to $5. Let that shit hit $10. Like, come on with this. Come on with this shit already. Like Yahawashi told Judas, man, pretty much, man, hurry up and do what you got to do already, because we're ready to get the fuck up out of here. So come on with this shit already. Let's do this shit. Because we know one thing is going to lead to another. And with that being said, before we know it, we're going to be with Yahawashi. Yahawashi is going to be here. So in no time, as I've been saying, it's not a matter of time, but any day now. Any day now. Like the 10 virgins, right? The 5 foolish and the 5 wise. Like I said in verse, back in that Luke 12, keeping our lamps burning, just staying on our watch, like a UPS package. We're just constantly checking the app, checking the, the progress, right? Keeping an eye on how far out the package is, man. Like a UPS package, so, being spiritually in tune, man, because like I said, like a dog, man, like I said, dogs are very spiritual. Animals are very spiritual. Dogs are very spiritual. They can sense when master's around the corner. They can sense it. So again, being spiritually in tune, man, we can sense the master. He's getting ready to, he's here. It used to be a thing of, man, the Lord is around the corner. No, he's here. He's here. And that's how close we are. It used to be a thing of, well, the Lord is around the corner. Well, no, man, he's here. And as I read, getting ready to knock on the door, and we're ready to open immediately. So he's here. He's here. But we just got, Lord willing, we just got to be found faithfully and patiently waiting, like dogs, man. We got to be like dogs for Yahawashi, just in tune with the master. Micah 7:7. Therefore I will look unto the Lord. I will wait for the power of my salvation. My power will hear me. So I always make this point, you see how throughout the scriptures is very possessive. Our power, right? Our this and our that. Because again, to our shame and to the world's salakia, to the world's shame, but to our glory. Because we're expecting, we're anticipating Yahawashi to come. So it's going to be to our glory, to the world's shame. All right. And as I read in Proverbs 27, the elect, man, those that waited on the master shall be honored. So, hey, Lord willing, Lord willing, you're going to be found faithfully and patiently waiting. And you best believe me, we're going to accept the Lord with open arms, man. When we see the Lord, when he finally comes, Isaiah 25. That Isaiah 25, man, I believe it's verse 9, right? Where it says, lo, this is our power. We have waited for him, and he will save us, right? This is the Lord. We have waited for him. We will be glad and rejoice in his salvation. Roughly paraphrasing, man. It's one of my favorites. So Lord willing, it's not going to be to our surprise, and it's not going to be to our shame, man, but to our glory. Hey, the Lord said he's not just going to leave us here. We're expecting Yahawashi to return. And our expectation, the Lord's not going to fail our expectation. He's going to come. He's going to come. So just a few words on the apostles and the bishops' live stream camp. Lord willing, this was edifying. Call Allah Yahawashi Shalom to you, hopefully.